name is Joshua King Terry.
And I'm Shemaya English.
And welcome to our podcast.
Fuck! Welcome to justTRU podcast.
The reality uncovered.
The reality uncovered.
Spoken by Joshua King Terry
and Shemaya English.
Hello, good people. My name is Joshua King Terry. Welcome to justTRU podcast. And I have
Shemaya English.
Shemaya pulled me into this podcast. She made me actually do it. And now we're here. Right?
That's not the whole truth, but okay.
That's 100% true.
Okay, so what happened was he actually came to my job and he needed the service that I provided. Once we started talking and we got a little bit more deeper in dialogue, I realized this is a very intelligent black man I'm sitting across from.
I appreciate the compliment, but you pulled me into the podcast. So now we're here, and this is our podcast.
It is.
justTRU, just the reality uncovered.
Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. To be 100% honest, I think both men and women are delusional.
I agree.
I think men are out of place. We have a bunch of males, but we lack men in our society.
Agreed.
And that's why I'm here. Period.
The birth of justTRU podcast essentially was blown from a conversation that we had about just the lack of quality men that are showing up how they're supposed to show up, and how women have essentially taken the place of the men that are lacking because it's just a natural need for there to be a masculine energy. So women, predominantly, African American women, have taken the role of the men that we so desperately need in our community.
We are failing our women, and I feel like we need to do better as men, period. What makes me credible? Because that's the next question. That makes sense.
Tell me.
Outside of me being a first-generational entrepreneur, self-made millionaire, the first of my kind in my generation, and me being a phenomenal father, self-taught, these things qualify me to be a man. I take care of my household, my mom's household, and my daughter's household in another country. I grew up without a father. I didn't let that be an excuse in a house full of women. No mentor, no big brother, none of the above, right? Just been me and God figuring it out, and we figured it out. And now I'm here to show you how to figure it out.
And I can attest because from the moment I've met this man, he has not only talked the talk, but walked the walk in everything he does. And I feel like most times people will tell you one thing and they'll show you something else, or when situations test who they say they are, they fall short. And the reason why I'm sitting here on camera, because I wasn't supposed to be on camera, was because I truly trust this man and his vision. And it's not, from my experience, easy to find a person who can not only talk the talk, but walk the walk. And I'm just privileged to be under such great leadership.
So, justTRU was born, just the reality uncovered, and that's what we're here to do. To speak about the facts, to speak about topics that are plaguing our society, our community, and what we can do better as men at the end of the day. To walk in our purpose, serve God. Number 2, be better men, be better for our households, be better for our women. I'm tired of the excuses. I'm tired of the blame game, pointing the finger at women, all of the above. Like men, what makes a man, he takes accountability for his actions. He looks in the mirror first, and he does the internal work to become better at the end of the day. Men are needed. I don't care what women are saying, what the feminist movement is saying, or any other particular group is saying. Men are needed. The reason that society is failing is because men are not in place.
And once men take their place, then women, whether we want to agree with it or not, we will fall in line. And that's just what that is.
Absolutely. Agree 100%. Absolutely. Women will fall in line because it's the natural order of things. Men lead, women follow. In order for a woman to follow a man, he has to have a good program. If his program is trash, why would the woman submit herself to him or even think about following him at the end of the day? And I will have to agree with a lot of women out there men are trash at the end of the day, right? It's a lot of males, but it's not a lot of men, right? And being a man is in high demand at the end of the day, right? So trust me, I know. I turn down women daily. The growth of the podcast, long-term trajectory would be mentoring, face-to-face conversations, candid conversations, and helping men become better, right? Touching the audience, being a part of the audience, right? And shaking the hands of the people and talking to men, right? And talking to men who want to be better for themselves at the end of the day, right? And coming up with an actual game plan that fits that particular individual, right? Something that's tailored to that particular person's situation or potential, and assist that person going forward. I just want to see change in men, period. I think I believe in men more than they believe in themselves. Being amongst the men, touching the men, holding them accountable, a coaching program for the men, giving them literature, books. I'm writing a book speaking about manhood and fatherhood, having camps, seminars, and so forth.
That was good. I think that was like, I like expressing the vision that you have, really touching the, what I will call the lost generation, in the aspect of really just bringing it all together and honing it in and really having a role model. I remember maybe a day or two ago I was on social media and I saw there was a young man in the back of his house trying to break in. And so the young man had a gun and the gentleman had a gun as well. He walks out and he's like, I don't want to hurt you. Just put your gun down. Let's talk.
Right.
He was like, oh, no, it's okay. I just want to leave. You're like, no, let's talk. Like, you need some money. Like, what do you need?
Right.
And I just felt like that was a big moment for me and just really excited to come tonight and do this because there's just such a lack of guidance, right? And for a young man, especially a young Black man who really does not have a role model and does not have a person or some type of example of what it looks like to be a man, right?
Right.
Not just to be a male, right? We all grow up, oh, you're a man because you turn 18 or whatever the case may be,
Right.
but what does a man look like, right?
Right.
We grow up, a lot of them are growing up in single parent households. They're watching, social media, they're watching television, and there's no quality example of what a man looks like. And so that's why this is so important as far as I'm concerned.
Right. And again, I can relate to growing up in a single parent household. My mom, 2 sisters and a niece, and me being the youngest, and having the responsibilities. I don't care what you say, the responsibilities, whatever male that's in the house, it falls on his shoulders. My mom looked for me for certain resources and certain things. My sisters looked for me for protection and guidance, right? And I did not have a father figure or my dad in the house to show me how to do those things. So I had to lead and learn at the same time. It was sink or swim for me. And I know it is for a lot of men out there at the end of the day, or young men trying to figure it out, but they just don't know how to, right?
Correct.
And I know it was extreme for me to figure it out. And by the grace of God, because of my faith, my spiritual beliefs, right? And my ability to hear him, he guided me through extreme circumstances at the end of the day. But a lot of people are not that fortunate, and they just have their own instincts and their limited perspective on what they think a man is based upon information coming from social media, TV, or from their own mothers, who, quite frankly, a woman can't tell you how to be a man.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, and neither can a man tell a woman how to be a woman at the end of the day.
And even to that point, right? Think of, whatever situation that brought her to be a single mother. Like, what information is she sharing with that young man? Is it toxic? Is it derogatory against men? And
Right.
and now you're poisoning the well. So now this is a young man growing up in a house with the only, vision or, input he has of a man is a negative perspective that his mother is giving him.
Right.
And his father is absent for whatever reason.
Sure.
And his mother's not speaking positively about man. Oh, men ain't this and men ain't that. And
Right.
it's like, he doesn't have any positive outlook or any positive examples of what he's supposed to be. He now views himself negatively. So he's going to figure out how to get it out the mud. And so I feel like having somebody that is positive, that is doing it, can lead by example is just so vital for our generation, because I promise once the men figure out how to take their place, the women will follow. And that will be my mantra until Jesus comes.
And you don't have to be a ball player or entertainer or athlete or anything of that nature, right?
Tell the people, Josh.
I am an entrepreneur, self-made, period.
Can you play basketball?
Can I play?
I mean,
Nah.
I never see you play basketball.
I can't play basketball. I don't even watch sports, right?
No, I can attest to that.
Yeah, I don't watch sports. I don't watch TV. I definitely can't play basketball, right? I'm just uncoordinated. You don't have to be an athlete or entertainer to go out there and make an income or make money. You don't even have to be an entrepreneur. You don't have to be a millionaire or making six figures at the end of the day. You can get a trade. We all possess gifts and talents, right? And it's unpacking and uncover what it is that you possess, right? God has put gifts and talents in everybody. It's just doing the internal work to figure out what is your niche area. And once you start to unpack that, right, then you can start exploiting that to become a better person, bring in income, and where you're able to take care of yourself. But it takes you doing the work and sitting down and unplugging, weaning yourself off social media, going out and hanging out and actually doing the internal work and asking yourself quality questions at the end of the day. I think a lot of people just don't do that, or they don't know how to do that. I don't think a lot of people know how to sit down and spend time with themselves, right? I think people's minds are so busy being busy, right, that they're not even being productive, right? It's like a hamster running on a wheel. Like you're in movement, right, but you're not being strategic or productive with your movement at the end of the day. And I think time just essentially goes by 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. In 5 years, you're still in the same position that you were, prior to, because you're not actually doing the work. You're so focused on looking at everybody else and not running your race and comparing yourself to other people at the end of the day, right? The reason that I'm in my position, because I never compared myself to other people. I didn't get my first car until I was 21, and it was a piece of shit. It was a 1996 Nissan. The AC didn't work. Prior to then, we didn't even have a car in the household. So I had to walk everywhere, bum rides everywhere, right? So, but I never compared my circumstances to anybody else at the end of the day, because my circumstances were my circumstances. Being persistent and pushing and not giving up despite the odds and the circumstances that surrounded me growing up in a drug-infested neighborhood. Whatever you think of, I saw it. Whether it be killings, whether it be robberies, dope fiends, prostitutes, you name it, I saw it. I took it upon myself at an early age, these are my circumstances, but this does not have to be my reality, right? It's my current reality for now, right? But I could figure out a way to create something different, because I had no mentor, I had no father, and I had nobody who was an entrepreneur, right? The term entrepreneur when I started was not even a thing. Now it's trending and shit all on social media, right? It's like a trend word now. I just had to start reading books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, right? And started to teach myself disciplines, how to be better. I knew I was better, and I knew that I could get better. The difference was, this is my reality. This is where I want to go. The space in between here and there was the information that I needed to learn to create something different, right? Yeah, and I had to get outside of my comfort zone, right? I knew what my neighborhood would have brought me. It's death, murder, and jail at the end of the day. I knew I did not want that. So I started teaching myself the entrepreneurial ways, taught myself about the stock market, how to invest, and so forth. And now, 10, 15, 20 years later, I'm here. Self-made and self-paid.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well,
Yeah, it feels good.
you should.
It actually feels good to say that on camera.
Come on, talk to him.
Like self-made and self-paid.
Come on.
Yeah, I need to put that on a fucking t-shirt.
Talk to him.
Absolutely.
Let's go. I feel like a lot of times people glamorize, where they are as far as entrepreneurship and being a 6-figure earner and things like that. And they have this, I got out the mud, but I'm just like, let's talk about it. Like, let's talk about the transition. Let's talk about that time in between there, instead of just glorifying or glamorizing where you've become, like what you've become, where you are now. And that's important too. Like,
I want to interject. I really don't think a lot of people got it out the mud, to be honest.
Talk
I just
about
think
it.
it's just a catchphrase, right? I just
Right.
think it's a trendy thing to say. You got it out the mud from where? From what? Like, again, let's talk about it. Like, let's unpack it. If you got it out the mud, you should be able to tell people how to get it out the mud, just like you did.
Exactly.
Right? So I don't think people actually got it out the mud, right? I think people, no disrespect to anybody. However you got it, right? But I think people received inheritance. I think grandparents passed and left them insurance money, right? And they, figured out how to maneuver it and so forth, and things of that nature, right? So, I mean, if you want to classify that getting it out the mud, then cool. I just don't see it like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I see coming from extreme circumstances, using God, your spirit, your emotions, and your mind, and figuring out how to make nothing into something. Mm-hmm. Nobody gave me like one penny. So it's one of those things where it's just trial and error and being so persistent and believing in what God instilled in you and listening to what he told you that you will be successful, you will be this, you will be that, right? But not only believing and having the faith, right, but actually doing the work and not having a mentor, but actually just getting out there and just opening books and reading books at the end of the day. And I want to share something too, right, about the reading part. And on top of that, I'm dyslexic, right? But I still did not let that be an excuse not to do anything, right? I have a saying, the truth can be an excuse depending on how long you use it, right? Mm-hmm. For example, I grew up without a father. I didn't meet my dad. I met my dad the first time when I turned 18. And I have a 2-year-old. That does not give me the excuse not to be a father to my daughter because I didn't have my father, right? Absolutely. So I think oftentimes, even though a lot of people are saying the truth about their circumstances, mm-hmm. but they use it as a reason not to be better at it. Cool, I didn't grow up without a dad. I met him 4 times. The 4th time was when he saw my daughter when she was 6 months. So that was the 4th time that I saw him. One time I saw him was in a layover at an airport. He slid me and my sister $100 together, so $50 a piece. The other time is when he flew me out to Hawaii and when he came to visit. So a total of 4 times. As a man, one of my rules is we cannot make excuses. That's something that I live by, and that's something that I die by at the end of the day, right? Because when you make excuses, it affects the future outcome of who you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be at the end of the day, right? Mm-hmm. We are needed. Our children need us. Our women need us. Our community needs us at the end of the day. And they don't need us to make excuses. They need us to use our intelligence, our reason, our resources, our faith to figure things out. Yes. Because if we don't figure it out, that burden is passed on to our women, our children. And you see passing along where we're at, and women don't respect men anymore. I can understand why.
Thank you guys for joining us on this very awkward first episode of justTRU Podcast. We are going to be better, I promise. Yo, we really are dope, though. We really are dope. Give us a second because we just do us. And we decided to put a camera in front of us and just made you real uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
But bear with us. You will not hate it. I promise. We lit. We lit. Let them know we lit.
No, we super lit. That's hold on. First and foremost, being lit goes without saying. Let's just start there, right? Let's just get that right. That's facts, right? Thank you for tuning in. We truly appreciate you, and we can't wait to continue to grow with you guys.
See you guys next week. Bye.